What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokemon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In the last episode we covered the poison flying type Crobat, so it was a very batty episode, and I asked you guys which Mega Evolution you wanted to see covered this week. It was a choice between Sableye and Salamence, and Sableye just about won out in the end. It was very close, so we're going to be covering Sableye and Mega Sableye today. Now, for next week's video, episode, whatever you want to call it, it'll be episode 91. We're in the last 10 episodes up to 100, guys. So for these next 10 episodes, I'm going to be covering some of the most popular Pokemon used in, OU, UU. So, all the choices are going to be really popular Pokemon that are used quite a lot, at least, those I haven't done yet. So next week's sort of, vote is going to be between Talonflame and Chandelure. So if you want to see Chandelure covered in the next episode, be sure to comment down below saying Chandelure, and if you want to see Talonflame covered down below, say Talonflame. Haven't covered either of them before, both fire types or both part fire types, so you want to go ghosty or flyy. Didn't really work. Okay, let's go and start having a look at Sableye. So Sableye is number 302 in the National Pokédex, obviously being introduced in Generation 3 in the Hoenn region, and is a Dark Ghost type, one of the only Dark Ghost types actually, along with it and Spiritomb if I remember correctly. Now the reason Dark Ghost type was so special is, well, we'll look at it in a minute when we get to typing. Sableye is also the Darkness Pokemon, so it sort of fits in with its theme. Dimension wise, it's a pretty small Pokemon, standing only at 0.5 meters or 1 foot 8 inches, and it weighs 24.3 pounds or 11 kilograms, so pretty small and pretty light. Breeding wise, it's in the human-like egg group because, well, it's human-like, and the male-female split is 50-50. Evolution wise, it doesn't evolve from or into anything, but of course it does have a Mega Evolution, which we'll be looking at in just a minute. So base stats for Sableye, they're not stunning at all. We'll put it out there right away in straight off. I'll show you them here. You can see its highest base stats are attack and defense at 75, then we have special attack and special defense at 65, and then down to health points at speed at 50. So those are really, really low stats. I mean, it doesn't have anything that's, drastically low, but though, none of them are great. You wouldn't say, oh yeah, that's a really good stat. And of course, this is why normal Sableye finds most of its sort of, benefit in being a support Pokemon. Ability wise for Sableye, there are 3 available. One is Keen Eye, which prevents other Pokemon from lowering its accuracy, which is, can't complain, that's always decent. Second one is Stalled, which means it moves after all other Pokemon do, so it makes it, basically just slow. And Prankster is hidden ability, basically does the opposite, sort of, which means it gives priority to status moves only. So for example, Thunder Wave will have +1 and +1 priority and stuff like that. So you'll move faster basically when you're not attacking the enemy. Basically how that works. So if we look at the typing now, as I mentioned, it is a special typing, I'm sure you know about it, Dark Ghost. Back before Generation 6, Dark Ghost Pokemon did not have any weaknesses at all. However, with the introduction of Fairy typing, that's not quite true anymore unfortunately, but it's still a decent type to look at. They only resist one type though, however, which is the only downside, and that is the Poison type, obviously because Ghost resists Poison. As I mentioned, they are weak to the Fairy type, Dark Ghost types are weak to Fairy types, and of course then immunities. Sableye actually has 3, and this is quite, the good bit actually. It's immune to normal, fighting and psychic type moves. Then neither of them are really, none of them are really that popular, that common, but they are immunities you can switch in on. So if you can predict a move of those types, you can switch Sableye in. Of course it takes neutral from all of the other types, which is the only downside to this typing out actually, because it doesn't actually resist that much. There's still 13 types there you can take neutral damage from, so you're still going to take decent damage, and as we saw, Sableye doesn't have very high defenses, so it's not really a bulky Pokemon, however it can be used in certain ways. If we take a look at the moves you can use for Sableye, there are 10 here. I'm going to go through them, obviously starting at levels. At level 18 or 21 in X and Y and ORAS respectively, it can learn Fake Out. Obviously, Fake Out has priority anyway, you don't even need Prankster for that. But gives you a free turn basically, or a bit of free damage because it makes the opponent flinch. And since Sableye is a utility Pokemon mostly, you can use this in the sense that Fake Out. If you say you got a spare slot, you just got Fake Out with a spare slot. Okay, go and use Fake Out, put it in there, get some free damage as long as that's not a Ghost type. Why not? Just do it. Plus, obviously, if they're poisoned or burned or whatever, that's an extra free turn of damage there. Next we have Shadow Sneak, learned at level 25 or 16, and this is a priority Ghost move yet again. Obviously it's not going to fit with, well, I mean it would fit with Prankster very well actually, because Prankster, priority for your status moves, and then of course Shadow Sneak is priority for your attacking move. But it's not a very high damage move, but it does have priority, so that's the benefit there. Then level 29 or 26, we have Knockoff, which is a Dark type move. Obviously, Knockoff got a boost in Generation 6, meaning it has a higher power now, which means it can be used as an offensive move, but it can also be used, obviously, the secondary effect is to knock off items the opponent has, which makes it very powerful, get rid of leftovers, get rid of berries, stuff like that. Then level 50 or 41, we can learn Foul Play, similar to Knockoff in the fact that it's the same typing. However, Foul Play uses the opponent's attack stat to calculate the damage. This is good, however, because as you saw, Sableye's attack stat isn't very high at all. So you can abuse it. Say you're going against, I don't know, an opponent with a high attack stat, for example, a Mega Charizard X. That's a very high attack stat. Foul Play rather is going to do a lot of damage from there. Then we have the final level up move here, which is level 57 or 33, and that is Shadow Ball. First special move here, and the only special move we're looking at actually. Obviously Ghost type as well, or second Ghost type move we're looking at here. So it's an alternative to Shadow Sneak, I guess you could say. More powerful, however it's a special move, so with a slightly lower special attack we have, you would maybe be better off going for Shadow Sneak anyway, but as we said, Sableye's utility anyway, so we'll look at more offensive stuff when we get to Mega Sableye, which can use that a bit better. But those are level up moves for now. Then we have TMO4 Calm Mind. This is actually from Mega Sableye set, I'll discuss in a minute. But obviously Calm Mind increases your special attack and your special defense when used. Then we have TMO6 Toxic, because as I mentioned, Sableye's utility, it's a support Pokemon. Toxic is a very good idea to have on it, especially with Prankster. You get priority for that move, so you can just pop Toxic over, first move of the turn, before you even manage to get taken out. So Sableye could be at 1 health point, come into battle, and you can just get a free Toxic off, obviously, before Sableye gets taken out. So there's a benefit there. Then TM12 is Taunt. Again, having priority on your status moves means you can use Sableye as a lead. You can taunt, their Spiker, their Stealth Rocker, whatever, which means they won't be able to use those types of moves, and their lead may be useless, of course, if it is someone looking to do that. So you're forced to switch basically there, unless of course they decide to try and attack you. Then we have TM61, which is Will-O-Wisp. So it's sort of in contrast to Toxic. You could run both, or you could run one or the other. Obviously, Will-O-Wisp is very good at crippling physical attackers, so it's up to you whether you decide to use that or Toxic. It depends whether you want to focus more on taking out tanks or in nullifying physical attackers. And of course, if you've got a Will-O-Wisp or a burn possibility like Scald somewhere else in your team, you could think about running Toxic instead. The final move we've got here is an egg move, and that is Recover. Now, as I mentioned, Sableye is not a very tanky Pokemon. However, when we get to Mega Sableye, it's a bit better. If you've seen the design, you know what I'm talking about. It's a bit better when we get there. So Recover is definitely a move either for normal Sableye or Mega Sableye. It can be used on either. We'll look at it when we get to the sets. So I've spoken about Mega Sableye, but let's actually have a look at it now. Mega Sableye. Dark Ghost keeps the same typing, so there's nothing too much to say about there, but as you can see, it gains this nice big shield, this nice big rupee shield for it to use to defend against attacks. Dimension wise, it stays same at 1.8, 0.5 because it doesn't actually grow, it just gets this rupee, but it does increase in weight, going up to 354.9 pounds or 161 kilograms, so you might not want to pick it up anymore because of that huge shield it's carrying. Its Megastone, the Sable Knight, can be found in Oras in Sutopolis City, just southeast of the entrance to the Cave of Origin. So, in case you don't have it, that's where it's found. And then its Mega Evolution, as you can see there, basically what I've mentioned, it just gains this big rupee shield. The actual Sableye doesn't actually change much, apart from its eyes changing colour. So, base stat-wise for a Mega Sableye, as I mentioned, it gets a bit tankier. As you can see, its highest stat is now Defense at 125. That is a big change. And its special defense is also 115 as well, so both of them increasing a fair amount too. Attack and special attack both rise, only up to 85 though, so attack only gets a boost of 10, whereas special attack gets a boost of 20, to make them equal. Health points obviously doesn't change when you get to Mega Form, and its speed, to counteract all these big gains, its speed has dropped by 30, so Mega Sableye is going to be very slow, but it certainly makes up for it in defensive stats. Mega Sableye's ability is Magic Bounce, which means it reflects any status moves that it's thrown at it. So Stealth Rocks, Spikes, Toxic, Will-O-Wisp, anything like that bounces straight off its shield back to the opponent, which is very, very useful actually. So, if we move now onto the sets, after looking at Mega Sableye, we can see how it's actually used. We're going to focus a few on normal Sableye first, and then we'll move on to Mega in a minute. So, this sort of generic support set, generic utility set for normal Sableye, there's not much else you can do with it apart from this. We have Will-O-Wisp, Recover, Foul Play and Taunt. Ability is going to be Prankster. Nature is a bold one, held item is going to be leftovers, and the EVs are going to get maximum health points and defense, and then put the rest in special defense. So this is your generic supporting, set for Sableye. Will-O-Wisp, burning physical attack is basically no more needs to be said. You could run Toxic there if you want to sort of just be able to throw it off willy-nilly, but you're not going to be able to survive the Toxic too much. With the Toxic against opponents, what you ideally want to do is Toxic and then stall out and wait for them to die. However, Sableye, normal Sableye doesn't have very high defenses, which means it can't do that, so Toxic isn't as useful. Will-O-Wisp for physical attackers basically. Recover is there because obviously status moves go first, you have priority on that too, so you actually get to recover before the opponent attacks you again, so if there's a chance you can survive, you may as well recover, especially if you've burnt them, you just get some extra damage off. Foul Play is your main attacking move, or your only attacking move here, and that's, because we don't have a very high attack stat, we're not going to bother using anything ourselves, so we may as well focus on, especially if we're against a physical attacker, you can use Foul Play in that sense. And finally we have Taunt. This is to counteract any leads, anyone that might want to set up spikes or stealth rocks, so you can definitely use Sableye in that sort of, matter as a lead to say, nope, no stealth rocks for you, please go away, and have a bit of free time to do what you want. Prankster, because that's the best ability Sableye gets. Keen Eye and Stall, yeah, they're alright, but Prankster has that priority we really want. Bold Nature here is going to increase our physical defense and lower our physical attack, because obviously we're not using physical attack, so we don't need that. And we're just mainly focusing on physical defense here, because we're going for physical attackers. So if we burn physical attackers, they're going to have half attack anyway, and if we have our defense high enough as we can, then of course we're not going to take much damage from them at all. Held item being leftovers is just a little thing there, because obviously if you're taunting them or recovering, there's just extra health points there on top. I mean, what else would you really benefit from on Sableye? Nothing much. You can't use an assault vest to boost your special defense because you're not using attacking moves all the time. There's really nothing I can really think of there apart from a berry. I don't know, throwing that out there, but leftovers is probably the best way to go. EVs, again, I've spoken already, because we want to bulk out our defense as much as possible to survive these physical attackers, and then we sling the rest in special defense just to survive a bit of those as well. How would you use this set? Well, as I mentioned already, you can use it as a lead and then taunt anyone that wants to stealth rock or spikes, force them to basically switch out, and then obviously you can set up Will-O-Wisps, or you can just go through some damage with Foul Play, and of course once you lose some health points, recover it back up, assuming once you get the Will-O-Wisp on a physical attacker, they're not going to do much damage to you, so you can probably recover up the damage. If you get faced with a special attack, however, it might be best to switch Sableye out, because that's not what it's made for, and of course you don't want to lose Sableye straight at the start, because Sableye is basically your counter to physical attackers, so if you lose it and they've still got 3 physical attackers there, it's not been useful to you at all. So that's Sableye there. If we then look at the first of our Mega Sableye sets, this one is sort of going to be a generic Sableye, Mega Sableye, and then the second one is going to be more of a different one, I guess. So the moveset here is going to be Knockoff, Will-O-Wisp, Recover, and then Foul Play or Toxic. Ability is going to be Prankster again. Nature is Careful this time. Held item, of course, is the Sableye, and then the EVs we're going to have maximum health points, but this time have 144 in special defense and then 112 in physical defense. So our moves, our moveset, Knockoff is a strong move, and because we have a slight sort of boost in physical attack, we can use it. Plus, of course, we have higher defenses this time, so we have more time to sort of sit around in battle. And of course, we're not really going to be wanting to taunt people anymore, since we don't have that Prankster priority once we Mega Evolve, so we can't really make use of that, because of course we're really slow now, so all of our moves are basically going to be right at the end. So Taunt is not going to be as useful, whereas Knockoff, to knock items off, is decent, especially if you come up against something that's got leftovers, which you would struggle to take out with because you're not going to do much damage yourself. Will-O-Wisp is still there to nullify any physical attackers you come against, because you're just going to completely wreck those, well, not wreck those, but they're not going to be able to do any damage to you because you have a very high defensive stat, so if you burn them, that's even better. Recover is here once again because we have a high defense. Why not run Recover? Once you lose some health points, recover it up. It might take your opponents to get you a few turns to get you down to health points. You just recover it up again and then laugh it off. Final choice of Foul Play or Toxic depends whether you want to play it offensive and actually do some damage to the opponent, or whether you want to sit back and just recover up and then as they Toxic down slowly. So it depends whether you want to be on the offensive or whether you want to be stalling. Prankster is the ability because you could first turn you go out, if they're not a threat to you necessarily, you could start off by going for a Will-O-Wisp, for example, before you Mega Evolve, and then get the the boost from Prankster on the first turn. It's up to you in that. Obviously you have lower defenses, but if it's worth it to get off a priority move, go for it. Nature this time is a careful one. This is going to boost our special defense and lower our special attack, because as we saw from Mega Sableye's stats, it has a higher physical defense, only just though, but this careful nature as well as the extra special defensive EVs help to boost up our special defense, so it's about equal to our physical defense. So it's not just we're purely physical now, we can actually take special moves too. Held item also offers Mega Stone, and as I just mentioned, EVs with having maximum health points for all the bulk, and then slightly more in special defense just to get it equalised, and then obviously the rest in physical defense, so you can take all of the attacks. How would you play this set? Well, as I mentioned, you don't have to Mega Evolve straight away, but generally it would be a better idea to, because of course you can take more attacks that way, and then of course you just want to sort of maybe burn the opponent or toxic the opponent out, and then watch them slowly whittle down, knock off their items, and they're not going to get any bonus from it, and then you can recover and or foul play all your way up and just watch them die slowly, basically. So then the second set from Mega Sableye is slightly more interesting. The moveset this time is going to be Calm Mind, Shadow Ball, Recover, and Will-O-Wisp. The ability is going to be Prankster. Nature this time is Bold again, and we have the Sableye once more. And EV wise, we're having maximum health points, maximum defense this time, and then the rest in special defense. So this is a Calm Mind set. As we saw, Mega Sableye's special attack is exactly the same as its physical attack, so we can choose which one we want to use here. We don't really have to sort of lean towards one just because of stats. So Calm Mind is what you want to focus on for this set. You Mega Evolve, you've got pretty high defenses already. If you keep Calm Minding and Calm Minding and Calm Minding, your special defense is going to go through the roof, as well as your special attack rising every turn as well. And once that's pretty high, we have 85 special attack. That's not too bad at all. So once you get a few Calm Minds off, your Shadow Balls are going to start dealing some damage. Obviously Shadow Ball being your main attacking move, we don't need to talk much about that. Recover, again, we want to have Recover still, and that works even better with Calm Mind, because you might take 2 or 3 attacks, take down to half health points, while you're Calm Minding, you recover up, full health points, and then of course it's going to take even more moves to get you down to the same sort of level. And then Will-O-Wisp is for physical attackers, because of course we're going to have our special defense boosting up quite a lot, but that leaves us open to a physical defensive attack. Not necessarily, not like we got a really low physical defense, of course, but it would make it easier for physical attackers to take us out. However, if we can Will-O-Wisp them, of course that's even better, because then it nullifies them too. Prankster is our ability, as I mentioned, just because it's a better one. You can priority Will-O-Wisp or priority Calm Mind if you really wanted to before you Mega Evolved. I wouldn't recommend it, but Bold Nature here is going to increase our physical defense and lower our physical attack, because obviously we're not using physical attack, so we don't need that, and we want to boost up that physical defense as much as possible, since Calm Mind is going to take care of the special defense. Sableye being the Mega Stone, don't need to talk about that, and EV, same sort of thing. We want all the bulk from the health points already, obviously, and then defense is just to boost up as far as possible, and then the rest of the special defense, because why not? How would you want to use this set? Well, you go in, you Mega Evolve, you Calm Mind once or twice, as long as there's nothing with a fairy type move against you, it won't be too bad. However, watch out for it, I guess. Calm Mind once 2 or 3 times until you get a pretty good stat. Obviously by this point you might want to recover, so you recover again. Any physical attackers that come out you might want to Will-O-Wisp, and then just Shadow Ball your way through the enemy team. Of course you're not going to be overly powerful, so you might want to play it a bit sort of defensive, a bit cautious, and make sure you're not going to just die from one hit, But of course, once you've got the Calm Minds off, you should be pretty good. As long as you keep Will-O-Wisp in the physical attackers, and just keep an eye on your health points, and you use recover at the right time, you should be pretty good. Your only sort of downfall is going to be critical hits, but of course, in the end, you can't really help that too much. So that is going to be it for this episode, guys, and it for Sableye and Mega Sableye. As I mentioned at the start of the episode, do not forget to vote for next week's Pokemon, either Chandelure or Talonflame. Let me know which one you want to see by commenting down below with the respective names, and the one with the most votes I'll cover next week. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.